I'm Susie.
And I'm Clark. Welcome to the Ingles table. Today we're going to be showing you how to prepare our spring rolls.
And we've got all the very best fresh ingredients from our local Ingles. So let's get started.
All right. The hardest part of this recipe is the prep work. We've done all of our prep work ahead of time, so when we build these spring rolls, it's gonna go quick.
And it doesn't even have to be hard. Like, we picked up these carrots right off of the salad bar. They were already shredded like that. So when you just need a little bit of ingredients when you're making a dish, check out Ingles salad bar because they've got things like that to make your life a lot easier.
So the first thing we're gonna show you to make is a peanut dipping sauce. This has got peanut butter, a lot of different ingredients. So Susie's gonna build it. I'm gonna tell you what we're putting into it.
Okay, I've got my creamy peanut butter in the bowl.
Okay, I've got some sesame oil, rice vinegar.
So this is gonna have a little Vietnamese and Asian flair to it.
Little soy sauce.
Little umami.
For a little bit of heat, this is hot chili oil. If you don't like spicy, you can certainly leave this out. You're gonna need to get my spatula.
I like that little bit of heat that comes from that. It's a nice balanced heat. And then, talking about making your life easy, check out Ingles' produce section. They have got garlic and ginger that's already minced up for you. So we didn't have to do that.
We just keep them in the fridge, and when your recipe calls for some, just use a little bit. We've got minced ginger and minced garlic that are going in. They came right out of those containers that we keep in the fridge all the time.
Right, so these are ingredients that Clark and I keep on hand. If you like cooking and you keep things like this, or you like checking out the international aisle at Ingles, they've got so many different things that I had never even heard of. So it's fun to experiment.
Yeah, the other dipping sauce we're using is a Laura Lynn product called Thai sweet chili sauce.
Ooh,
it's a traditional glaze, but we didn't need to make it. Ingles had already done it for us. We picked up a bottle of that on the international aisle when we were shopping.
But that being said, if you don't really like concocting sauces, pick up your favorite bottled peanut sauce. It's yummy too.
This is really easy to make, but they do have it on the shelf if you would like to go that route.
Okay, what I just poured in was a little bit of hot water. And you notice I'm stirring it very gently. I went with a bigger bowl than I needed, which is a cooking tip.
Yes.
Always go with a bigger bowl than you think you need. That way you're not sloshing it all out and making a mess for your husband to clean up later.
The hot water, all it does is thin out the peanut butter a little bit to make it where it's a easier to dip sauce.
All right, that looks pretty good.
Then the last little tip, this is optional, but this is something I think pushes this sauce over the top a little bit. Got a jar of Laura Lynn dry roasted peanuts. I simply chop some up on my board with a knife and just garnish the top of the dipping sauce with these. So you get a little crunchy element too. It reinforces that peanut flavor.
That looks delicious.
All right, so that's the sauce. We're gonna come right back and show you how we build these spring rolls next. We'll be right back.
Okay, we're about to get rolling with our spring rolls. Everything is so fresh. Clark, what do we have?
We've got some beautiful lettuce that I shredded. You want to shred it kind of small. The goal here on these spring rolls, less is more, because when you go to roll them up and you got too much ingredients, the spring roll wrappers will tear. So be judicious, show some restraint. But we've got beautiful lettuce. We've got some cucumbers that are cut into matchsticks, some jalapeno peppers if you want a little spice. If not, leave those out.
Green onions,
And
shredded carrots, rice stick noodles, prepared according to the package directions, some steamed shrimp from Ingles that I sliced in half horizontally. Like Clark was saying, smaller is better when it comes to rolling up these spring rolls.
we've got some basil, some mint, and I've got some shredded rotisserie chicken breast. You can totally make these vegetarian all the way. You could totally use tofu in here if you wanted to. Your options for fillings, these are just some of the things we like. You could put really whatever you want in there. You could put bell peppers, other fresh ingredients. You just want to make them, make sure you cut them to the size that your rice paper is, so you have room to fold it up and put it in.
Speaking of rice paper, these came from the international aisle. They are very brittle. What we're going to do is rehydrate them very briefly. But first I'm going to talk about our setup. Working with these, I've got a damp paper towel to keep it from sticking to my board, but Clark does it a different way.
I just use some of the warm water that we dip these in to rehydrate and wet my board so the paper doesn't stick.
And that's all. It's just a quick dunk in the pool.
Yep, just want to
So-
submerge these.
I like to leave the edge hanging off my board just a little bit to make it easier to pick up. And the middle of your roll is going to be the top of your roll that you'll see. So I'm going to go in with some fresh herbs, some basil, some mint. So fresh. Man, it just smells like spring. I love how Ingles Seafood Department will steam shrimp for you. You don't have to do it yourself. It makes it so quick, so easy.
Again, less is more. This
Yeah.
stuff builds up pretty quickly.
A little bit of this beautiful Boston lettuce. Some rice noodles, just a pinch. Oop, get on there. Some carrots, some green onion, maybe a piece of jalapeno and cucumber.
All right.
All right.
I'm going to put a
How you
couple of
doing?
pieces of chicken, then I'm ready to roll.
Okay, I'm ready to roll too.
Okay.
I take that bottom edge, flip it over, all the while tucking this back in. I'm gonna tuck in the ends and roll it right up. If you have some sticking out, it's not a big deal. It's going to be delicious. A nice, light, fresh meal this spring.
Now you see hers and mine look totally different. We're going to do one more each.
Okay, I'll hand you the rice paper
All
wrapper.
right.
I think I'm going to go in with just the veggies right now because they are so fresh.
Now I'm going to give you a quick tip. If even in spite of trying to show restraint, you overfill it and your rice paper splits, simply wet another piece and roll it double. A lot of times at the store, when you get these out in a restaurant, they'll be double rolled. So
just
it's
a little-
okay if it develops a split to come in and put another rice wrapper right over the top of it.
If you're cutting back on carbs instead of the rice noodles, you could totally go in with some bean sprouts. Ingles has those in the produce department from a local Carolina producer. I love how you can count on Ingles to always support local, from the seafood department to the produce, every aisle of the store. They've got their own milk processing plant, all local, all delicious from Ingles. Look at all those veggies sticking out.
There we go.
Okay, there we go. Delicious.
I want to thank you so much for joining us today on the Ingles Table.
There are so many more recipes that you can discover right here on the website.
Be sure to check them out, and we'll see you next time.